Bow, bow. I'm assuming we are live. Hello and welcome. It'd be nice if anyway. Uh Hello and welcome to this brand new live stream. Please I need to I have this pressure of now repeating what I did yesterday. Please wave at your screens and welcome Lauren K. Nixon. Hi. Hey.
Hello. Hello.
Trying to emulate the stadium noise, like the cheers and stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
And then the vuvuzelas, like. And then Lauren is like, yeah.
Hi. Hey.
You know
too long since
those
I've been on stage,
beauty
that's the problem.
pageants and stuff. Those people on stage, they wave.
Yeah.
They do that wave.
Oh, the royalty wave.
Oh yeah, that wave. Just it's just.
It's so your arm doesn't get tired, apparently.
Oh, okay. I didn't know there was science behind that as well. I thought that is just to look little, stylish or whatever.
There's method to the madness.
Yeah, as in. Oh, do you hear that?
Yeah.
There's a low flying.
We had a jet fighter go over us the other day, which is very unusual for here, because I grew up under an RF, the flight path of an
That
RAF
language
base.
sounds familiar. Yeah.
It's what I speak. Yeah, but yeah, it was very odd to hear a jet engine that close to that low.
Oh. Did it?
I'm assuming there was a test flight or something.
Did you feel the vibrations as well?
Yeah, there was a helicopter escorting it, so I assume it was a local test flight.
Yeah, that was kind of because I was just listening to the alcohol sorry, Airholics Anonymous podcast, and they were talking about the Concorde, which has it's been a few years since it retired, but that was the one that was the public.
That was the big one.
Yeah, which according to them, they claim that it was way ahead of its time. Maybe, but because it was passenger aircraft which was supersonic, so
Yeah.
that was like one of a kind. But then most airports were not equipped, to land a Concorde.
Yeah.
And it had that tendency to shatter windows and stuff.
Yeah.
when it got close. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that it had built a reputation over time. So that just when I asked you, and immediately thought of Concorde when you said you heard of that low flying jet and all. Anyway, we are talking about George Lucas today, and
Yes.
Apologies in advance because I don't have anything to add. So I will be borrowing heavily from the bunch of of course, there's no dearth of Star Wars related content on the internet. So I'll be reading off a bunch of tabs that I have open on my computer because, of course, I'm absolutely new to Star Wars, which I feel like I should be apologizing for it to our viewers and listeners who also would probably be having the same reaction right now. as they are watching or listening to us, to me, I'll
Uh-huh.
be like, what? So,
Like how?
so yeah, I mean, Lauren has at least, so she'll be
Yes.
telling me all about it in the next over the next hour. Um, so yeah, let's jump straight into it by asking Lauren what goes after George Lucas and
I mean, there's only one thing that you can say to that, and that's "May the
should
Force
it
be with you."
the whole thing that's
Uh
goes on
huh.
the title, or
Uh
is it
huh.
like May the Force or the
May the Force
Force?
be with you.
George Lucas, and should it be all caps, or you go just like a regular
Whichever.
sentence?
Your
And
preference.
may the Force be with you. Uh-huh. For some reason, I type the French we, like may the force be with we. Okay, the whole line fit on in one line, so that's good. So
Yay.
the title says George Lucas and may the no, I can't do it. I can't do it. I limit it to just saying Lauren Nixon. I can't do may.
RJ's Adventures of Tintin.
I can't do may the force be with you in an American accent with the announcer voice. I'm not that good enough. I'm not that good. Enough is not the right word. Okay. George Lucas, born 1944 in Modesto, California. And his alma mater as well. I mean, I think he spent all his growing up years, growing up, what's the childhood years, growing
Childhood.
years, all his childhood. Okay, in California, because his alma mater is also Modesto Junior College, University of Southern California, is where he graduated from. So he was, I think, through and through. I mean, what's that? West Coast, California,
Yeah.
Hollywood, uh, upbringing. Um, he's considered a significant figure of the 20th century New Hollywood movement. His films are among the 100 highest grossing movies. Is it grossing?
Grossing.
Grossing movies at the North American box office, adjusted for ticket price inflation, of course. So yeah, uh, he's now age 76 and has been active in the movie industry since 1965. He's a director, producer, writer, and an entrepreneur. Served as chairman of Lucasfilm before selling it to the Walt Disney Company in 2012. I don't know if does he still make movies? I mean,
I don't know. I assume so.
okay. I mean, no, I know for a fact that I mean Star Wars is still is a running franchise, right?
It is. I think perhaps he has creative input but not control, since
Okay,
he sold
I
the
see.
rights to Disney. And I'm fairly sure that most of the fan objections to any of the more recent films has been, oh well, they didn't do it right because they're not so and so, you know. So
Yeah, I mean it's Disney's fault, right?
uh-huh.
As we allowed to do. Blame it on the giant conglomerate.
Well, I mean, they nearly killed Spider-Man off, so not in the plot, not a spoiler. I mean, like in terms of a franchise. So Disney and Sony had a falling out, and we nearly lost the Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Which would have been a shame, I think. Anyway, we're not talking about Spider-Man today. Or are we?
Are we?
No, we're not. Spider-Man is
because
not
I don't know.
Totally.
Maybe Spider-Man
is in Star Wars. That's the whole thing about Star Wars. Is it's Spider-Man.
No,
I can tell you anything. This is great.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe Spider-Man made a crossover appearance in a Star Wars movie or something. I'll never know.
100%. Yeah, he's up there with Darth Vader. He's secretly an agent of the Galactic Empire.
Yeah, maybe they've been friends or something. They follow each other on social media. Who knows?
I mean, they probably are. Let's face it. Twitter is that kind of place.
Yeah. Before we proceed, like we missed out on our usual initial exchange of asking, how has your day been? And
not too bad.
Okay.
Yours?
I have been here since 9 a.m. this morning because I've been so nervous and anxious about the today's George Lucas episode. So I didn't even have the time to go out and get my energy drink.
Oh, no.
I'll be drinking out of this ugly, which I have almost finished, Coca-Cola big bottle.
I'm attempting not. I'm trying to retrain myself. I kept doing this because I'm painting, so I kept doing this, and this is where my drink is. And I was like, oh, I'm going to end up drinking paint. So I'm that every time you see me go, that'll be why.
So yeah, Lauren is painting. Painting what though? We cannot see.
It's not going well because the paper's horrible because I had to reprint it. But this is one of my sketches that I've scanned in.
That's how it looks right now, and then we'll see where it goes by the end of the episode.
It's not going to be good.
It's okay. Our podcast listeners will be like, "What are they talking about?" But yeah, Lauren is painting, so that's what we are talking about. George Lucas.
George Lucas.
Yeah, no more going off rails. So yeah, Star Wars. First thing, since it'll be most of this episode, of course, all of this episode today will be me asking questions and Lauren explaining or talking about Star Wars via or is that how you say it, or like through the answers? But you get what I meant.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, first question.
10. Sorry.
What?
First question for 10. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I get it.
That's a niche joke even for me. That's a university challenge joke.
Or is it like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Because I was watching that one Colonel, whatever, that fraud episode.
Oh yeah. They made a film out of that.
They did? Okay. I watched the documentary recently. It's on YouTube. I don't know. I came across it and probably part of some true crime based recommendations, which is also credit to Lauren for getting me into it. But that is for another day. Yeah. Okay. So I was first question. I was looking at the Wikipedia page for list of Star Wars films, and it tells me that the first film in 1977 is titled Episode 4: A New Hope.
Yes.
Why is that?
Because George Lucas he originally envisaged it as a 9-part thing, but he couldn't get anyone interested in the first 3. So he decided to start in the middle, which he could get funding for. So that's what he did.
So the movie came out as Episode 4.
Yeah.
Or is it like a after like? So it came out as Episode 4. Okay.
So they're all standalone movies, really, but they are part of this arc, and the arc is essentially split into 3s. So it's 3 trilogies. So the trilogy that came out in the 70s is about one group of people. The trilogy that came out in the 90s and 2000s is about the generation before them, and the ones that have just come out are the generation after.
Okay.
There's Solo and Rogue One and a bunch of animated stuff as well, which is in different parts of the
saw that as well.
timeline.
So Episode 4, 5, 6 were released between 77 and 83.
They were the game changers.
Okay. And then there was a 16-year gap, and then Episode 1, 2, 3 released between 99 and 05.
Yeah.
And again, there was a 10-year gap. And then
Yes,
episode
because they were terrible. Sorry.
7, 8, 9 released between 15 and 19, 2015 and 2019. So next question is why was there a 16 and a 10-year gap if it is a continuing story?
Funding gaps. Also, in the first instance, you'd sort of, with the three together, he'd come to the end of that arc, and I think he wanted to work on other projects. Probably his investors did too. But in between those two first sets of three, he really worked. I mean, it comes into him being an entrepreneur. He and his company really worked on CGI and making it work really well. And he really invested in that kind of technology. And I guess he may never have come back to it, but he came back to it because he knew that they could tell the story without the lack of CGI being a distraction. So the technology was good enough that he could tell the story the way he wanted to.
You're talking about the episode 1, 2, 3, right? The 97. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. 1, 2, 3. Which is technically 4, 5, 6. Which is technically 1, 2, 3.
I mean,
it's going to be simpler if we say A New Hope. Empire Strikes Back.
But I won't get that. Okay, New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the
Jedi.
Jedi is how you pronounce it. Okay, Jedi are the original trilogy. This is episodes 4, 5, 6 is how at least it shows on the Wikipedia page. Okay, got it. So there have been 9 films so far, right? 9 movies.
There's been at least.
Oh yeah, wait. There have been 2 more. Rogue One and Solo. So what are those? It says they are anthology films, but then what does that mean?
Rogue One happens immediately. The action is set immediately before A New Hope. So it's sort of like a prequel.
I need to keep going back to.
I know you need them written down.
No. I mean, you keep telling me. I'll keep. I'll keep an eye on my Wikipedia page. Okay, and the first film. Okay, got it.
But it's the fourth in the.
Yeah.
And Solo was set between the third one and the fourth one. In order of series, so. It was sort of the prequel to Rogue One in a way. It's one particular character's story rather than an overarching setup for the series. And of course there's The Mandalorian as well, which is the series that's on Disney Plus right now.
Oh, that I saw the poster
for
that.
Deep Past.
Because that's kind of
like set way before.
Way before all of this, is it?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Got it. I only know the meme where people from my hometown changed the D to the G because I'm from Mangalore, and they were like made it like a Mangalorean because people of Mangalore are called Mangaloreans.
I like
it. So that's the only way I would have known of.
I've not got around to The Mandalorian yet.
Oh, you haven't seen it yet? Okay.
I've seen bits of Solo, but I've not sat down and watched it properly yet because I'm still so angry at Rogue One.
Was it that
the thing that you'll learn about Star Wars is everyone has really strong opinions about which ones are good and which ones are bad. Mm-hmm. And most of the people who liked the last 3 films that were made hated Rogue One, and most of the people who liked Rogue One hated the last 3 films. There's some crossover, but
last 3 films. Oh, okay. The ones that weren't directed by George Lucas.
Abrams and
J.J. Abrams. Yeah. When I saw that, I was like, where have I know this director? Okay. I know him from the Mission Impossible movies.
All right.
Yeah, that's all.
You haven't watched Star Trek, yes. I know him from the Star Trek movies.
That also. I mean, I went back and saw what else he had directed, and then it was like, oh, this guy is the connection between Star Trek and Star Wars. Because I also know that most people tend to, or at least most people like me who haven't watched either, tend to confuse between Star Trek and Star Wars.
Yeah, and then among the people who have watched it, there is this weird thing. This is a thing that you get a lot in nerd stuff,
Okay.
You're only allowed to like one of
One
them.
of
You
them.
can't appreciate both. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, so you're only allowed Star Trek or Star Wars, or you're only allowed the
Yeah.
MCU, or DC. And I'm
Yeah.
like, well,
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. That,
I
like,
go with this.
it's not a competition. You can
Yeah,
like both.
it's the whole gatekeeping thing coming up again. It's ridiculous. Anyway.
Yeah. That reminds me of this uh, a stand-up routine which I watched by Biswa Kalyanrath. You can check it out. He was basically, like they're similar to what you just pointed out, right?
Mm,
There's always these rivalries that happens on the internet, like Cristiano Ronaldo versus Lionel Messi, or Federer versus Nadal,
yeah.
and there's these fan groups which argue over and over, like who's better,
The
and then
world is not binary.
yeah, and
Doesn't
the
need to
and the
be.
point and the and Biswa on the stage on in that particular routine, he makes like neither of them know of your existence.
Yes.
He's
Yeah.
like, it doesn't
Exactly.
matter, you can like
Yeah.
both of them, or you can dislike both of them equally, or it's
Yeah.
fine.
Allowed. It's not a
Yeah,
problem. Yeah.
you arguing on the internet, you're, like, it's resulting in nothing.
Yeah.
uh, and so I always, when I watch that, and sometimes I do recall that whenever the odd whenever I come across arguments like that on the internet,
Hmm.
uh, like why? What's the point of this?
Yeah.
uh,
Well, I think I guess there's a certain amount of tribalism, but there's also the thing about Star Wars and Star Trek is they are beloved
hmm. Yeah,
because of
I can
we
imagine.
have very deep connections to them, most people. But it becomes about the person who's arguing and their identity.
Yeah. Is it also like a generation thing, because
Maybe,
people
yeah.
who grew up with the 77 to 83 trilogy, and then there is, because there are these wide gaps, huge
Hmm.
gaps in between the trilogy movie, these three trilogies.
Hmm.
uh, so it's like people who watched and liked the latest one are looked down upon
Hmm.
by the ones who were around when the
I think
originals released, or something
there
like
is a
that.
certain amount of that, and
And they're
again, we're back
like,
to gate.
you, you like, this is what you call, this is your, we are from the time when, the OG Star Wars happened, and then, so
Yeah.
I'm just, guessing. I have no idea.
I mean, to an extent, I think it comes down to what kind of style of uh, creative content people like as well.
Ah,
Because another
because that was going to be my
correlation I've
next question.
noticed
uh,
is that the people who dislike the ones that have just been made dislike it because Luke Skywalker is insufficiently badass. And
okay.
I think he is pretty badass.
Was
This
there a
will mean nothing to
change
you.
of actor
No,
also, or something?
no.
No, it is the same. Okay, same cast.
The argument that I've been hearing has been, oh yeah, no, they made him really girly and really, like he's not as strong as he used to be. And I'm like, well, actually, he's just as much of a badass. He's just slightly less of a dick.
Hmm.
And he wasn't really a dick to begin with, but you know what I mean. It's like people have gone. I expected him to be the big damn hero all the time again, and actually, what's happened is they've written quite a good story where what happens to the big damn hero after, and then the impact of living with the weight of that uh, legacy, and what that does to you, and then the choices you make after that. So yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah. I think
So,
people wanted different things from the film, and whether they like it or not depends on what they wanted.
also, the fact that George Lucas was the screenplay, or the writer for the first six movies, and then he wasn't in the
Mhm.
latest ones.
That gave everyone permission to hate it and go,
Okay.
oh well, this person
No,
got
but
to live.
is that just the bias, or is there any noticeable shift?
It is different. I don't. Well, you see, because I'm probably the wrong person to ask, because I hated I love the first three that are not the first three. I hated the second three that are the first three.
Okay.
And I loved the last three.
I'm starting
and
to
I
get
thought
it.
Rogue One was a waste of film space. And other people thought it was brilliant.
Waste of film space. I
Solo
like that.
looks
Like
amazing.
that.
There are very few films that I've watched with Neil that the end of which we both went, well, I wish I could have those 2 hours back.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean,
I know what you mean.
we were at home. Like, normally, if it's a bad film, it's fine. You just get on with stuff. But it was so bad, we couldn't even do anything.
Yeah.
4 hour, and that's our personal opinion, and you're allowed to like it and stuff like that, but you're not going to change my mind. Yeah, I think so for me, growing up with Star Wars, it was kind of like the Lord of the Rings. It was that level of story for me. It's fantasy in space, so
yeah.
And I know on the episode they talked about one of the beautiful things about it is that nothing is clean, and that was the game changer with those things. Alien came out a couple of years after this, directly influenced by that style. And Alien is a phenomenal movie, and one of the things that makes it real, it's a terrifying movie. One of the things that makes it. No, I know. I could see it in your eyes.
Okay.
It's
I haven't watched E.T. either.
Yeah, I mean, E.T. was okay.
Spielberg's
yeah.
take on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, carry on.
Yeah, it's been such a large part of so many people's childhoods that whatever we were expecting, if it doesn't match up to that exactly, there's a lot of scope for us to just go, but that's not our Star Wars.
Yeah.
And I think that happens in lots of different ways. So.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Okay, I get that. Okay, so let's since you brought up the last episode of Prophets of Science Fiction. So we'll do the little prophecy part before moving ahead. So the three stuff that I did write down. One of them is 3-dimensional holograms, 3D holograms.
Yes.
Have you seen one in real life yet? I haven't.
Yes.
You have? Okay.
The mini museum. Very cool.
I see. For me, because I am still excited. I haven't seen one for real. I've seen them in movies, and but then I cannot trust the stuff that is shown in movies, right? Because there is a certain amount of VFX and CGI involved. But I'm curious to see one in real life and how it looks, because I've always wondered how because a 2-dimensional, there is a screen behind that you project light on and create an image, but then how do you do that in 3D? I had always wondered.
Yeah.
And sometimes I still do, actually. It's not something that has piqued my curiosity to the extent that I went reading up about it.
Yeah.
To find out how they do it. It's just minute, minimum curiosity in the back of my head. Like, I wonder how they do they do it.
Yeah.
They showed one of like the rotating screen concept.
Yeah, I thought that was
they
cool.
said, well, they rotate it at 15 it's like they simulate the 15 frames per second of a movie thing, and then that's how they do that moving images that look like it's in a 3D space, because when you rotate any 2D plane at fast, it looks like a circle or whatever. And then when you project a light on it, it gives that it creates that shape of a face, or the episode showed a face, which is why I'm thinking of only a face now. But they could do that thing where it was moving, it was talking and moving its lips and stuff. But they also said that newer technology where you no longer need a moving rotating screen anymore, and you can do it in space. uh,
Yeah,
I don't know how that works yet. uh, I want to see.
yeah. I think there's probably been quite a few advances in that, because I know
Yeah.
I've seen one or two.
Yeah, because in the movies they've shown, right, whenever they do like a take on stuff, how m- future looks, they
Yeah,
always do that thing where there's this hologram, or all these text and images suspended
yeah,
in air, and then people just tap at it, uh, and then I'm like, suspended how, where?
yeah. I think in Star Wars, in Star Trek rather, they do it very well with. They get round it by creating glass screens, particularly the new generation of films.
Hmm, hmm.
It looks right because the technology is it's back from the later seasons,
Yeah.
the films, but it looks right for what we could probably create with glass,
Hmm.
and that works really well.
Yeah. Oh, it's nice that they. I mean, which era was this that they used it in the movies? Which
Well, I was
trilogy?
at uni, so the first new Star Trek movie, when they did that, they changed how they kept all of the right shapes and colors, but they changed the set design to reflect the idea of glass that could be used rather
Hmm,
than a
hmm.
hologram. And they use holograms and other things and stuff.
Yeah,
But
because it's only now that it is becoming a reality, right? Like now we
yeah,
have smart mirrors and stuff, uh, where you go to the, if you have a smart mirror in your bathroom, you can use it as a mirror, as well as a extension of your smartphone, uh, where you can
yeah,
look at at the weather and whatever updates and stuff. And basically it's a touch screen as well as a mirror.
yeah.
um yeah, that's cool. uh and yeah, okay. The other one, the second one, is the lightsaber, which
Mm,
I don't know how that works. First of all, it is it like a beam of light?
yeah, that can cut through anything.
But that isn't there, right? It's just a handle at first, and then you press a
Yeah,
button, and then that comes out.
yeah.
But how does that stop there?
I don't know.
Like if you're projecting like a torch, it has
Hmm.
to keep going, right? I mean, what makes the beam of light just that length?
Exactly.
So
That's
that
I imagine that's what people have been wondering for quite some time
oh, okay.
in the
uh,
development of it. I know in Warehouse 13 they got around it by saying there was a specific length to a cutting laser, and then they chilled it and made it cold, and that made it work. Uh,
okay.
but Warehouse 13 is it's a great show, but it is of course like one part magic, one part physics,
Hmm.
because of its nature. This painting is going very badly.
It's fine.
I may have to scrap it.
Anything you do is art.
Yeah, but it's not. I haven't
That's the
done
beauty
it for
of
so
art.
long that yeah.
But yeah, I mean, coming back to the lightsaber though, one more thing is, how do they use it to fight if it's just light which has no mass? I saw the fight scenes which they
Hmm.
so I'm like,
They're
what's
very
getting
well
that?
choreographed.
What's there that is causing that? Where you contact two lightsabers, and you're hearing that pew
It's a
pew.
blade. It's a blade made of light.
Yeah, it's curious that I mean, that he thought of a
Mm,
weapon made of light. Amazing.
yeah. Well, also from a visual effects point of view, I guess he didn't want a traditional sword or a gun, although he
Yeah,
did have blasters, which he also use light. So light is clearly a thing that they
recurring.
have
Yeah,
mastered in terms of
yeah,
technology there. Um, but he wanted it to look good on screen, and that's what it
yeah.
does.
I mean, yeah, it does. It absolutely does. A glowing sword. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't want that?
Yeah, it's amazing. Also, two different colors. You know who's the good guy. Is it like, yeah?
So when they were making the second set of trilogy, which is the first set of trilogy, so films 1 to 3 in the 90s to 2000s,
Yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson was approached to be in it. And he said, I'll only be in it if you give me a purple lightsaber because I really want a purple one, and that's why there's a purple one. So there's not really a huge amount of logic to it after a while.
Oh, wow.
So
I love that they were like accommodating and they're like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Pick your color.
People are such huge fans, and like,
yeah, I get
it's
that.
such a wide range of people who are such huge fans.
Yeah.
I know that
I got an idea of that kind of the craze when I watched Big Bang Theory. All like the entire series is a giant to an extent is an ode to
all nerd culture.
Fans. Yeah. Oh my god, why can't I want to, yeah, thank you. I want to be able to say excuse me before I sneeze. Why can't I have that superpower?
You'd need to be able to be like precognitive.
Every time I can't get the
superpower to go for though. Could I be invisible? Could I lift great weights? Could I heal people? No, I just want to know when I'm gonna sneeze.
Yeah, I just want to be able to complete saying excuse me before I start the process of sneezing. Every time it'll be like, oh my god, it's coming, I need to say excuse me, and then I go act and then sneeze.
Yeah.
Happened. This is the second time it's happening on stream. Okay, the third part, the force.
Yes.
What is it? What is the force?
To me, it is it's the energy that connects every living thing in the universe, according to the mythos, which I've always considered to be, it's sort of more magic than physics, but we are beginning to think that maybe it's actually magic and physics aren't that too different.
Yeah, I mean, I get that they kind of equated it to dark matter. Which
that was
again something
I have to say
something that we don't know about yet. And dark matter is what? It's 96% of the space in the universe, 85% of the matter of the universe, and 27% of the mass.
We're assuming that dark matter is just one thing.
Yeah,
it's our name for it so far, but that doesn't mean it's like there aren't like 4 different things together.
Yeah,
creating the effects there.
But as far the way I imagine it is, dark matter is something that just is.
Yeah.
But the force, I don't know how what context or how is that used in the Star Wars universe.
It's
like
a kind of magic, I suppose. Okay. It's a kind of magic system. The way I think of it is the guy who played Obi-Wan Kenobi, whose name has gone from my head, and that's crazy because he's really hugely famous. He agreed to do it because he always wanted to play a wizard. So he saw his character as a wizard, and I think I've always sort of seen them as space wizards. It's
space wizards. Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's
cool. Magic and physics, like you said.
And it's clearly considered to be at least halfway magic by some of the characters, because Han Solo has a line about kooky religions and faith and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a kinetic telekinesis. There's mind control. It's using the force, the magic that's in the air, to control things around you.
Okay.
And do various other things that I will not spoiler you with, because you're gonna have to watch it.
Okay.
At some point.
Yeah. I mean, it depends, right? Like when I eventually, was came to know of Doctor Who, and which is not, I mean, all of this in the last few years.
Yeah.
Since I started talking to people on the internet who are who grew up not in India and had access to content which wasn't on Indian television,
Yeah.
which is again, Star Wars and Doctor Who and all this.
Star
Uh,
Trek and Sliders and
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, exactly. So when I went back and it's a massive amount of content,
Oh yeah.
especially in terms in with respect to Doctor Who, and I was like, no, no, it's too late to get into it this now. And I will never be able to, watch all of this, and then this
Well, the
is
thing with Doctor Who is, I
so
I
many seasons.
there's only parts of it I enjoy. There's quite a lot of it, partly because of when it was made and attitudes have changed and things. So I do occasionally go back and watch older stuff, older parts of it. Neil, my other half, he really likes going back and watching other parts of it, and I'm sort of like, some of it I'm into, and then there's other bits where the Doctor's companion will go, "Oh, if only the Doctor were here, but I don't know what to do because I'm a woman," and I'm like, "Oh, good. I'm gonna leave this one." But there are some gems within it.
Yeah, didn't they also try getting
don't
a
let it
woman
stop
doctor
you
and
watching the new stuff. Don't let it stop you watching the new stuff.
Okay.
Because
But isn't that like do they is it like a not a continuous plot, because there's what, 10th
yes and no.
Doctor, 11th Doctor and stuff, so I'm
They're
like,
always
I don't know who the
standalone
third
episodes.
Doctor is.
They're standalone episodes. There are bits that link up, but they always explain it.
Okay.
Like within the context of the thing, because the Doctor is changing into this new person each time. If their companions haven't been there for the whole time, which they clearly haven't, they have to explain parts of it. So you get that knowledge from there. But I mean, start with Tennant. No, start with Eccleston. Start with the new stuff. Watch the new stuff.
Okay.
Even that's quite a large amount of stuff now.
Yeah. I mean, I know. The non-science fiction equivalent of Doctor Who is James Bond or Indiana Jones and all these. Even for me, that was for me like, I feel like too late to go back and watch the entire.
I mean, there's only like 6 Indiana Jones films. It wouldn't take you that long.
Yeah,
There are a
I
few
mean,
of those calls.
yeah, because, but in the case of Star Wars, coming back to the main topic, I had a similar feeling like how I feel with Doctor Who, right?
Yeah.
So because it's been around for so long, starting from in the 70s, so I felt there was massive content that I would never be able to cover. But today, actually going and going through the Wikipedia page, I'm like, only 9 films, what? And it's been around for 40 years, and like yeah, okay.
Get it watched. Get it watched.
9 movies, I can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, you don't
I keep
even
going
have
back
to
and
watch
watching
the
Jurassic
3 of
Park
them.
movies, so I can manage. Yeah, 9.
Yeah.
9 is not a big number. So yeah, I would probably watch it in the near future. Uh, that was about the 3 big major magic stuff, which is partially realized or is on its way to become a reality.
Yeah.
Like we started with, which was the 3D hologram, the lightsaber, and the Force.
And of course the general medical technology.
Oh yeah, we'll come to that shortly. But before that, I want to talk about the historical influences. Let me quickly look at where that was. Hang on. Where did I'm just going through my tabs really quickly. Should have arranged them. Oh yeah, okay. So reading off. Wait. if it's a major source that I'm reading, I'll put the link in the description later. So political science has been an important element of Star Wars since it's 77, focusing on a struggle between democracy and dictatorship.
Yes.
And it says battles featuring the Ewoks,
Ewoks.
okay, and Gungans. What is it?
Well, I mean, that's part of the ones that I know the least about.
I see. Okay.
But I think they are Gungans.
Gungans, okay. Against the Empire and Trade Federation, respectively, represent the clash between a primitive society and a more advanced one, similar to the Vietnam-American War.
Yes.
And so on. What are your thoughts about the political influences on the story?
It's very liberal.
Okay.
It's very anti-massive corporation, as it said. It's very we ought to fight tyranny in whatever form it comes in, and certainly from the, again, this is part of the mythos, is you have to keep choosing to be a good person. You can't get lazy. If you choose to take shortcuts, then you're just as bad as the bad people, I think is the main takeaway. Corruption is rife. You can't trust large groups of people who claim they're doing the best for everybody are usually lying. Is I think that's one of the major takeaways.
I mean, is it something like the similar to this is more of a philosophy than historical influence or whatever, where when you start off with the intention of doing good, but then along the way, like what the most simplest way of putting it is power corrupts.
Yeah.
Like it's not something that is from the start. When you got into it, you wanted to, but then you never,
the road
you don't
to hell
know
is paved with good,
when
with good intentions.
don't know when that happens. It's gradual, but
Yeah.
it almost always does, and it's very hard to not let that
Yeah.
happen to you.
That is
but so many
say
politicians
that is the
in
core
our
of it.
world have gotten have fallen for it.
Yeah.
And they were, at the beginning when they're young, and they were very with a lot of values and stuff, but somewhere along the way they lost their path.
You always have to choose to be the non-aggressor.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that I have I found with the later films. Again, I was saying that people have very different opinions of it. One of the reasons I love the later films is that question is examined, and again, Luke, who is probably the central character in the middle three films, he has to make those value choices again, and the characters around him do, and that, for me, that's the core of the story rather than the other parts. Is you have to keep looking at yourself, you have to keep choosing, you have to keep doing the same old fight with Vader, because otherwise you become them.
And also it says Palpatine, or some, I'm guessing Palpatine. It's a name, Palpatine, okay. Palpatine. Being a chancellor before becoming the emperor in the prequel trilogy alludes to Hitler's role before he appointed himself Führer. So Lucas has drawn parallels to historical dictators such as Julius Caesar, Napoleon, and politicians like Richard Nixon, apparently. So you agree?
I would say so.
And you already said, you already said you mentioned corruption. The corruption of the Galactic Republic is modeled after the fall of the democratic Roman Republic and the formation of the Roman Empire.
Power corrupts.
Yeah. Some of the other historical influences in terms of costumes is Darth Vader's design was initially inspired by a samurai armor.
Yeah.
and also incorporated a German military helmet. Is that
Yes.
okay?
Yeah. That's what I think. That's what gives it its flared shape.
Okay.
It's also one of the big things about the Trade Federation and the Galactic Empire is the anonymity of all of the soldiers. They're frightening because there's so many of them, but none of them have faces because they all
They're
have
faceless. I
full...
noticed that. Yeah, that
Yeah.
helmet. Yeah. So who are the ones with the white dark?
Stormtroopers.
So are they on what side are they on?
They're bad guys.
Oh, they are okay. That's okay. So only the but they look like Darth Vader,
Yeah.
but they are white, and he's
Yeah.
he's the black stormtrooper, the king of
Yeah.
stormtroopers.
Yeah. Basically.
Basically, I see, got it. Okay, so there was something else. Stormtroopers borrow the name of World War One German shock troopers, and the imperial officers wear uniforms resembling those of German forces during World War II.
Yeah, that's very strong influence. Like even as a kid, I think probably the first time I saw him I was 6, and even then you go, oh, that person's evil. They look like the people in the history books on the wrong side.
And the aerial warfare of World War II, like the dog fights and stuff, inspired the space fights.
Yeah.
And the flag and iconography of the empire resembles those of the Nazi Party and Germany.
Yep, it was one of probably maybe even the first one of almost every science fiction thing after that where the bad guys have black, red, and white as their as their badge colours. From the peacekeepers to the stormtroopers, you know.
Okay.
we see those colour combinations and we go, oh no.
Yeah.
There's a great Mitchell and Webb sketch. 2 British comedians, and they're playing 2 SS Nazi soldiers in the trench and having a chat. And one of them goes to the others, "Yeah, I've been thinking, looking at these new uniforms. They're rather good, aren't they?" And they all say, "Yeah, they are. But I was thinking, there's a lot of skulls on here." And he's like, "Yeah, well, it's fashionable." He's like, "Are we the bad guys?" And it's that
Yeah.
borrowed the shapes and the colours that make you go bad guy.
Yeah. Is it also is like with the use of black mostly in as always a Harry Potter reference with the Death Eaters, the famous the black hood and stuff, and not revealing the face logic and all that. So that anything else you have before we move to the impact? We were talking about the influence on George Lucas on Star Wars, the story.
Well, else, I think
That's it.
Yeah, I think that's
about it. Okay, so this is the second half, the major topic of the influence that Star Wars has had since, of course, the first movie. And I think we'll break it into 4 parts. First of all, it's a small small impact, which is the monetary or the financial impact, which of course 20th Century Fox benefited.
I hate this. Let's scrap it.
Oh,
I tried. Alright. Yeah.
Aww.
Because you're talking about numbers. I my brain switches off as soon as anyone talks about numbers.
Okay. So I'll quickly go over it. It's nothing much. It's like it's
very rude of me.
20th Century Fox did not see it coming. I mean, didn't even have an idea of where Star Wars would go when George Lucas initially pitched the idea of a war taking place in space. But so it unexpectedly became a blockbuster, and I think it says that it grossed 100 million US dollars in the first 3 months.
Yeah.
And 20th Century Fox stock soared from $6 to $25 per share,
Yeah.
um, generating revenues of up to $1.2 million a day.
Yeah.
That's massive
It's
profits.
huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
And there was the cash flow kept increasing since then,
Yeah.
uh, since 1977. And income from Star Wars re-releases, sequels, and merchandising and stuff has in the following decades. It's just like it's like a cash
Gold
cow
dust.
for
It's gold dust. Yeah.
at this point. To and it changed 20th Century Fox from a bankrupt, almost bankrupt production company to a thriving media conglomerate.
Yeah.
To now at this point today. So yeah, that's the financial impact, which just one corporation has reaped benefits of. Um, so not really of interest to us. Let's move on. The second part I said was we'll talk about was the impact on filmmaking. I think we need to
Yeah.
talk about this.
It really paved the way for multi-film franchises, I think.
Yeah,
Telling the
that's true.
story over a long period of time.
Yeah. So it says that in the 70s, along with Godfather and Jaws,
Yeah.
Star Wars started the tradition of the summer blockbuster film in the entertainment industry, where films open on many screens at the same time, and the concept of, like you said, profitable franchises became important.
Yeah.
And it also created the model for the major film, the trilogy, or the franchise.
Yeah.
And it showed that merchandising could generate
Yeah.
more money than the film itself.
Yes.
So it's like it's some sort of trendsetter in a way.
Yeah.
So before that, I'm guessing there was not much of movie merchandising happening,
No.
like
No.
t-shirts
Star
and
Wars.
stuff. And
Star Wars is one of those ones that had a great deal of appeal to adults and children, so you
Yeah.
could merchandise in lots of different directions at once.
Yeah. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
And also, I think it was more like a right place at the right time kind of thing.
Definitely.
Because 70s with the economy also coming up, and
you've got the youth culture growing as well.
Yeah, more with television sets and stuff, cable television happening.
Yeah.
More people, even if they couldn't catch it in the movies, were able to catch it at home, with kids also hopping on to the trend. Yeah, cool. So not just about that, I think there was one more thing I wanted to hang on one second, let me quickly see where it was. So yeah, the 1977 Star Wars pioneered the genre pastiche, as this article calls it, where several classic film genres are combined in one movie.
Yeah.
So the original Star Wars, the genres were science fiction, the western, the war film, and the quasi mystical epic is what they call it.
What they mean is fantasy.
Fantasy. Okay, got it. So it's like the fusion of many genres, which kind of
like before this, people were like, well, no one will like that because it's two different things at once, and actually what people like is good stories.
Yeah. So I think that kind of makes sense when they call it, it was the first kind of blockbuster movie, as in, this kind of a grand scale epic, where you could be just a science fiction fan, or you could be just a war movie, you only want to watch fights on screen, but it kind of appealed to many sections at once, is what I was trying to say. That's cool. And not the last but not least is the special effects. This I'm curious to know Was that this lightsaber and all this right from the first movie? Is that
Hmm.
was that? Oh, so it was
Yeah.
part of the 77 movie
The
as
the
well.
hologram they're talking about,
Uh-huh.
"Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope," is the start of the first film, and that's the same scene he gets his lightsaber.
I see. Wow.
So
Because it uh, 1977, I think, would be, so it must be like a big year for Hollywood, because Jaws also came out the same summer,
yeah,
and Jaws was also one of those big movies, right? Which uh, in terms of yeah, the animatronics, like we talked about yesterday,
yeah,
uh, the using music for as a suspense
yeah.
creating thing, and like it started, it was also a trendsetter, is what
There's
I
a
wanted.
lot of innovation around that time, definitely.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
we're looking at Alien, which came out only a couple of years later,
Hmm.
the Ridley Scott movie,
Hmm.
and having looked at the special effects, that you're doing all the classic like theatre effects and stuff, but
Yeah.
you're looking at how you can portray something so very other. And there's a bit in Alien, one of the most unsettling parts at the start. I mean, I'm not going to spoiler it for you. There are aliens in it. There's
Hmm.
an egg, and there's an alien. It, there's a movement in it,
Hmm.
and like my whole life I've watched that and gone, ugh. And then I watched a documentary on how they did it, and it's Ridley Scott's hand in a rubber glove covered in meat
Hmm.
inside in
I see.
liquid. So they were, and the way he did, there's a bit where a spaceship lands, and he was one of the first people that got them to all move, but he also made the rig move, so it looked like you were in something that was moving.
Hmm.
And you've got Space 2001 about the same time, I would say. Uh, One of the films we talked about earlier in the
I
series of
think that was late 60s.
late 60s. So
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, it's that sort of era of
yeah. I get that. I get that.
pushing it
Yeah,
forward, and
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. Also, I think there are massive advances in terms of the other parts of movie making as well, like
mm,
costume and, like you said, set design and stuff,
yeah,
props and all that. So all that coming together, yeah, that I
yeah.
get, yeah, amazing.
It was an
um
interesting time.
yeah, yeah. uh, I wonder how it was, would we have been growing up in that time. Must have
Well,
been, yeah, because
I'll ask my mum.
yeah, I should I should do with my parents as well. Should have been an Must have been an exciting time.
Yeah,
So I don't blame them when they they tend to look back upon their childhood, and like, now I get it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, so that along with Jaws, the Godfather was not much of any, it was just I think it was more of a, in terms of storytelling, not
Yeah,
anything in terms of technology or of the time and all. Even I think
yeah.
even the Exorcist would be, but that again is in terms of makeup and uh, nothing much in terms of visual effects or
In,
special effects. And
the innovation with those films was in the storytelling.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, there was a lot of new age cinema coming in, uh, and yeah, I'm starting to see that shift.
yeah.
When I go think about the movies that came in the 70s. Um, but one thing I should point out is, which a mistake that I made the other day when we were covering Isaac Asimov.
Hmm.
When I was briefly reviewing iRobot the next day,
Mm-hmm.
I said that I wrongly mentioned CGI, which is computer graphics imagery, whereas what should have said was visual effects,
Yeah.
and the two are different, which I realized yesterday. Most people tend to use that change.
Yeah, I do as well.
Yeah, but actually, computer graphics imagery apparently is entirely done in computer, where
Yeah.
when they're shooting, there's nothing there. Whereas visual effects is they use a prop and then there is computer, I mean, editing involved, but
Not to the same extent.
there's not much of computer graphics in it.
Yeah.
So there are two different separate styles of effects, which I realized yesterday. I did not know. So I just wanted to point
That's
that out.
cool.
Yeah. So CGI and VFX are two entire different things, which I did not know that, and felt like this was the right time to say that. Okay. Anything else in the impact? Did we not cover in the impact on filmmaking that you can think of?
Star Wars is a really difficult one to talk about because it's so huge.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, nothing that comes to mind
No, not really.
at this moment. Okay. The other, I think, was like why I said, I think it set a trend in terms of trilogy. Would you agree on
Yeah,
that? Because
definitely.
it says that the Matrix trilogy, the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and the Hobbit trilogy was kind of. It says that these franchises adopted the Star Wars uh, formula
Yeah.
of how to pace and how to.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah. Okay, you agree with that, because I think Godfather did not follow that formula, right? Because the third movie comes way later, and
Yeah.
even though we count it as a trilogy, it actually is not.
Yeah.
The two movies came in the 70s, and then this movie almost came in 90, I think 1990, 1980.
Well, I mean, the same with Star Wars. I suppose you have.
Yeah, but then it's like three
within the
movies,
10
three
years.
movies, and three movies. There is a trilogy which is you can really see it.
Yeah.
It comes in sets of three, so at least it stays true to the definition of
Yeah.
trilogy. So yeah, that's cool that it was the original trilogy. So should we move on then?
Can do.
Okay. So the
I've
next
only got about another 8 minutes before I have to depart. So.
Oh, okay. I just have just two more. So the impact on aeronautics, which is again, I don't have, because I haven't watched. I don't really have much. So if you have, you can. I only know a couple, which I'll quickly say before I'll let you add to it. The one is in 2007, NASA launched a space shuttle which carried the original lightsaber into orbit.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's adorable. I love it.
So
Aren't humans awesome?
So the original lightsaber spent 2 weeks in orbit, and then it was brought back to Earth in November 2007 and returned to its rightful owner, George Lucas.
Yeah.
And of course, SpaceX naming its Falcon series of spaceships after the Millennium Falcon from Star Wars, which was Elon Musk's way of paying tribute. Anything?
Although I don't think it probably can't do the Kessel Run in under 12 parsecs, but yeah.
I have no idea what you just said.
That's fine. It's an in joke.
It's a Star Wars reference. Okay, so
Yeah.
I'll maybe get it when I watch it, and then I'll come back and laugh at it, and I'll comment on our own video saying, now I get it, haha. But yeah, anything else that you can think of?
Not that I can think of. I mean, my background is more in the deep past rather than the deep future, so I tend not to know too much about aeronautics.
Okay. So. But it is cool that both NASA and in SpaceX are, I get that, because I think there is a generation of the people who are currently employed at either of these organizations. It's a generation that grew up maybe watching Star Wars, so I get that they have this obsession of finding ways to pay tribute, like sending the lightsaber in orbit, or naming your spacecraft series after
Yeah.
the one that is in the movie. That's cool. The last one I think is the political impact. There's an entire article upon here,
This is
but
the thing I
I
know
don't know
least
if I
about.
should. Okay.
Yeah.
So you know the least about. Okay. So
Yeah.
I a few here and tidbits here and there. I'll just read
Mhm.
out. Is Margaret Thatcher, when she won the 1979 general election, the Tories uh, took out a newspaper ad on the next day saying, "May the 4th be with you, Maggie. Congratulations."
Ugh. Ugh.
This is that
Yeah.
yeah, because I think it's a
Yeah,
thing where
it's
on the
astonishing, isn't
4th
it?
of
Because they
May.
are basically the Galactic Empire. So, like, it's like the bad guys going, "Let's do a PR thing, guys."
No, this is like I was trying to see how far back this goes, where the
Yeah.
4th of May became a thing, right? So this is when I found of as early as 1979 when
Well,
the Tories
our
did.
elections are traditionally in early May, so I get why that happened. But yeah.
So yeah, I wanted to know when the May the 4th became a thing. So that's how I came across this. But also again another UK, Parliament. Uh,
Politician?
yeah, Harry Cohen. I don't know if you know him.
No.
Member of Parliament in 1995 related the Star Wars joke. In the
No, I missed them.
in the UK Parliament, he said, "May the 4th be with you." Apparently, he said it out during a defense debate in the Parliament.
Of course he did.
That's-
Because they're totally serious about what we're actually doing to our country in Parliament.
Yeah, yeah. I'm starting to get it.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
But-
like, don't bring up Tories. Dude.
But
Not unless you want to rant.
this is relating, to yesterday's, carrying forward over from what we talked about in terms of was it Heinlein?
Yeah.
Yeah, Heinlein, right?
Yeah.
He contributed to Ronald Reagan's Star Wars speech.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, this is a
Which it was also named after, yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
this is an interesting bit of trivia. George Lucas originally is it sued?
Yeah.
Is the word? Yeah. The Reagan administration.
Yeah.
For
Because they nicked the name.
yeah, for trying to use his
Entirely nicked the name.
trademark, which is Star Wars, and he lost the lawsuit.
Yeah, of course it did.
And explaining its decision, the court said, when politicians, newspapers, and public generally use the phrase Star Wars for their convenience in parody or descriptively to further a communication of their views, the plaintiff has no rights as owner of the mark to prevent this use of Star Wars.
I think it was particularly because of how it was being used in a defense capability by a very political party with very specific and publicized views. I can see why he would have tried to sue them.
Yeah.
But I get you can't control that other people will use it. But
Yeah.
I disagree with the ruling in that instance because it wasn't a media or private individual. It was literally they were saying they were using that term to get people on board with missiles.
Yeah.
And that's a misuse of the term, and the person who came up with the term should be able to say no to that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But gives me the general, the impression that Ronald Reagan was a big fan of movies.
Or his
because-
staff.
or that, yeah, because of it comes across his obsession of like the Star Wars, or later I think the Back to the Future franchise as well, to an extent. Yeah, so he wait, I have one more. According to Francis Fitzgerald, Reagan was annoyed and by something. I don't know. I didn't read the whole thing.
I mean, like, it's Ronald Reagan. He was generally annoyed.
Yeah,
He's
okay.
kind of
Yeah. Yeah. But wait. Anyway, yeah, it's a boring trivia. Never mind. Forget it. So I'm looking if there are any other impact on politics from Star
I think
Wars.
they are, but they're not overt. Like, as I said, it's a very liberal, very non-autocracy, non. It's you side with the rebels. You side with the rebels hard.
Yeah.
And I think probably that has had an influence on politics. I think if you grew up loving Star Wars because you loved Skywalker, you wanted to be Han Solo, you loved Princess Leia, you were all for the rebels. And
Just to add, I don't know who these characters are.
The good guys.
The good guys. Okay, thank you.
The good guys and the rebels against this big corporate.
The black big
military
helmet wearing guy.
Thing.
Yeah.
I think probably that will, as you grow up, because stories do have an influence on you, influence political decisions and stuff.
Yeah.
But then there are people who love Darth Vader so much, and I mean, I like him as a character, but yeah, I find that a bit weird. But like, isn't this psychopath awesome? Okay.
Is it something? I don't know. Is it how is it with the good guys versus the bad guys? Because good guys is more of a American concept. Because I get that because feeling with, because they are the ones who usually talk about splitting things in white and. There's no gray at all. So does Darth Vader have any gray at all, or is it like an outright evil?
You have
guy?
To watch it. I can't tell you.
You cannot.
I cannot tell you that. No, that is like one of the main things.
It's fine. It's fine.
There is a bit.
Because the moment you read people like
Vader.
Darth Vader, I'm like, oh, people like Severus Snape as well. So is it possible that there is some good somewhere where people go like, see, he has some,
I like, for the same reasons I like Darth Vader are the same reasons I like Severus Snape.
Okay.
But I don't idolize either of them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course, me too. But I don't get when people, because most of his actions aren't justified. I know that we are talking about Severus Snape at this point.
Yeah.
At least the arguments put forward by people who like him, some of them, like bullying and all that.
I mean, I spent 2 hours of watching a movie last night with Neil. He's very patient with me. We've been rewatching Marvel Universe films, explaining to him exactly why Loki's a good guy. And he tried to blow up several planets.
Exactly.
And he is a good guy, and I can tell you why at length. But yeah. You read what you want from a story, but no, I think
because it also happens in real life as well, with so many serial killers and criminals and stuff, where we love or I'm not saying we as in we, the two of us, but we as a love to look at their upbringing and say Ted Bundy is a good example. We say poor guy, he had a bad childhood or stuff like that.
I mean, that's not why we're saying it. I mean, a lot of serial killers come from extremely bad situations as part of what makes them a serial killer. The reason that people say it so often about Ted Bundy is because he's handsome. No one's ever said it about the ugly ones.
Yeah. And also there are so many people,
drives me crazy,
who are not serial killers who have
had bad backgrounds.
Yeah. That's not a justification.
You got about 2 minutes.
Yeah, okay. I don't really have anything to add to this, because I feel like more than the political impact, I think Heinlein had a much bigger impact in terms of politics and stuff.
If you want to know the real impact of Star Wars, it is that it's the huge comfort film for our generation.
Yeah.
For several generations.
Yeah, I think there's more impact in terms of filmmaking, culture, pop culture as a whole.
And to people, because you watch it as a kid, you watch it with your family. It means so much to each individual.
Yeah.
You have a real relationship with it.
Yeah. So there's more. Yeah. So again, similar to Heinlein, more social impact than in terms of impact on aeronautics or technology. And
Yeah.
so yeah, that's agreed. Closing thoughts.
Well, actually, I
This
don't
is,
have any
after all, the
closing.
final episode of our science
Yeah,
fiction
I don't have
series.
any thoughts about Star Wars in specifically because, again, as I say, it's really hard for me to think about it as anything more than the enormous impact it's had on me. But I was thinking the other day, like the series that we've been watching it's focused on technological advances or social advances, and I think that the people that they picked are extremely good science fiction writers and have a huge impact. But I was looking at it and I was thinking, well, why didn't they pick these other people?
Yeah.
So I think
there's so many names that I even I can suggest should have been a part, because maybe they could have done a season 2 or something, just to kept it going.
Kurt Vonnegut, Frank Herbert, Ursula Le Guin, like Ian M. Banks in his culture novels, Douglas Adams. It's funny, but that doesn't mean it's not, important. Margaret Atwood, Neil Stevenson, Octavia Butler, like Ray Bradbury. You can just think of so many.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gibson.
Yeah.
Neuromancer, it's
okay, so one last question before
I love that you are at the very beginning of your science fiction journey.
I am.
I love that you've got that ahead of you. That's really cool.
So excited, and I've come so far in the past 8 days. Okay, we had a 2-day break, but still past 10 days then. I feel like, even though I haven't actually started reading or watching any of the content that we have covered in the past 8 days, I feel like just talking and learning about the creators before I start reading on catching up on the their creations. We talked about the creators first, and I feel like that's a good foundation that you have helped me lay. That's cool. I think tomorrow we are catching up again, so where we are starting a new series, where we'll at the start we'll do a quick recap, or at least some, we'll do like our thoughts on what we talked about, more than what you hurriedly did in the past couple minutes. We'll do it again tomorrow. And so yeah, on that note, we come to the end of today's episode. For our podcast listeners, thank you for joining in on wherever you're listening to us. On, if you're watching us on YouTube, please leave a like on this video if you feel like, if you've on this video or any of our previous videos, you have gone back and watched it. You will find the links to Lauren's social medias and websites in the description, mine as well, down there. Yeah. So any of the source links that we brought up will also be there. And yeah, that's it. Thank you for joining. That's the Lauren's art that she
you always ask there.
I do. I forgot. I thought you gave up, so I was like, I didn't.
Oh yeah, I gave up on the other one. It went really orange, really fast, and I didn't want it to be that orange.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
I'm really enjoying this part, but that bit is orange. So
it's a little dark, but I have seen orange walls like that.
Yeah,
I don't mind.
I think I've done too much, and I'll have to go back and just do the orange last.
The more I think what you can do is give a slightly lighter shade of orange to the other wall, which makes that contrast, and then I think it'll look really beautiful.
Yeah, it's because I don't have an orange. I think I have loads of other colors, but because I had to mix it, it was really intense.
Yeah,
so
like
anyway.
a little bit of red and more of yellow, and that should give you the apt shade. Podcast listeners, sorry.
I'll take a picture.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, definitely check out Lauren's Instagram for that. That will be in the description, of course. So yeah,
totally.
Cool.
Cool. Yeah.
See you tomorrow then. Bye bye. Ending stream.